Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Akasha here from nanakasha.com. And I'm super excited. As you know, I'm going to Avalon or Glastonbury in October. We're having this amazing retreat. And I've brought you all kinds of information about what we're going to do. We've been channeling Morgan Le Fay and Merlin and everything. And now we have one more incredible guest here for you. So thank you for joining me, Kubi May.
You're very welcome. It's nice to be here.
So I wanted to have a moment that you could really experience this magical woman. I found her, as you all probably know, this beautiful adventures unfolded spirits called me, and I just wander through, listening to spirit, finding the people, looking for how we can go to this magical land. Of course, people are called there all the time for dragons and Holy Grail and Mary Magdalene and Lady of the Lake and fairies and you name it. There's just so much here. And yet there's also that ease to get lost in what it is. And so really this is a soul calling, and I like to make it super special. So when we go, we're not just there in the beautiful springs or in the beautiful tour. We're here because there's something deeper. There's a beautiful opportunity for our soul to express something, for us to create something. And Kubi May is an artist and a beautiful Celtic goddess and all kinds of other things. And when I saw her, I thought, oh, yes, this is a sister. This is a beautiful fairy sister. So we're going to co-create, but she's going to be the primary guide on a beautiful day during our retreat where we're going to be making wands, right?
Yes.
So so let me quick share just where you can find the retreat. Let me see. Okay. And so if you're interested, please reach out to me so we can make sure that you get an opportunity to uh, connect, get all the details. We have a very detailed schedule now. We can help you with logistics. It includes all your accommodations, everything you're going to need when you're there. So you go to nanakasha.com/Avalon. And if you're watching this, there's probably a link below as well. So we've got from the 7th to the 13th, we're going to be in Glastonbury. And then the second half, we are going to be going to Avebury and doing some beautiful stone circle and stargate magic. However, the first part, we are going to be using this incredible landscape from the tour to the springs to the goddess house to the apple orchards, because this is the Isle of Apples, right? To create a wand. And so we want to talk about why wands, what's the magic in the land. But first, tell us a little bit about you. Why are you doing what you do, and why are you in Glastonbury?
Oh, so I felt the call quite a few years ago now, to come to Glastonbury. I originally came here to do some shamanic training. And then as soon as I kind of was on the land, I was like, oh, this is the place. Okay, I actually need to be here, to live here and to sort of work with the community more. And yeah, it wasn't that much longer after that. I think it was maybe a year after that that my whole housemates, we were living in a different area of England. We all decided as an exodus to go together and move to Glastonbury at the same time. So I moved with a beautiful bunch of witch sisters. There were four of us living together at the time. And yeah, just the magic unfolded from there. We sort of met other witch sisters. There was a coven that was created from that. And yeah, I mean, as soon as you kind of arrive on Glastonbury, it kind of brings you into, it calls you into being, like how the land wants you to be with the community, and what it wants you to offer the community becomes quite well known.
Yeah, beautiful. So excited. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about what you do. So you do some shamanism. I know that you do a lot of Celtic work, right?
Yeah, so my main passion is really to reignite the old ways and to bring our focus back to sort of knowledge of the old gods and the old folklore of Britain. So yeah, a lot of that is about working with the land as well. Primarily, I'm a trained therapist, so I did my background was actually creative therapy, so like art and therapy combined. But yeah, more than that, it's about sort of getting in touch with, I like getting in touch with the earth in a creative way, which I suppose is exactly how the wand ceremony came about, sort of working with the trees, but in a way which imbues it with magic and the folklore of the land.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there is just so much. So, what's your favorite aspect of the land there? Because there's so many different,
Oh,
myths and magic and realms and things that intersect.
yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much, isn't there? It's like a maker of myths, Glastonbury. It truly is. But I suppose the most obvious thing to talk about is that it's the entrance to the other world. So it's spoken about in quite a few sort of Celtic folklore myths as being the place where Gwynedd Neath rides out with his horde. So he's the keeper of the underworld and keeper of the dead as well. So it's got quite a shady, mysterious edge to it, Glastonbury, especially around October, where Samhain is, coming in, and the veil between the worlds is quite thin. So the tour and the land surrounding Glastonbury is truly sacred at that time of year, really magical and kind of enchanting. Yeah, very enchanting to be on.
Beautiful. So you have like behind me, you see what's called the Tor, which was the Isle of Avalon, right? In through the mists where the goddess worlds were. And then there's the two springs that come 24/7, the white spring and the red spring. And then you
Yeah.
have the apple orchards, which I think this picture is a little bit of, right? And talk a little bit about the apple and the apple orchards.
So the apple is such a big part of Glastonbury. So the word Avalon actually comes from an old Welsh word of apple. It translates as apple and the Isle of Apples. So originally, 2,000 years ago, Glastonbury would have just been the kind of the peak of the Tor and the land, and then it would have been surrounded by floodplains. So a lot of it was yeah, swampy, marshy kind of lands, a lot of little lake villages and things like that. And then all of the apple trees. So it was known to be a place that was abundant in fruit that would multiply itself, and people that were always joyous with everlasting youth, and trees with birds that played music and all of these wonderful things. It was like, the vision of, the promised land in a way.
Yeah.
And you can feel that here. I think it's quite strong, especially, you come here in May, it's incredible. But October is, when all the apples really are, we've got the harvest of them out then. And the apple orchards are sacred in that sense because I mean, there's a lot of Celtic folklore that talks about how to gain entrance to the other world, to gain entrance to that magical plane of existence, you would be offered a branch, or you would offer a branch. So a lot of druids do this in their ceremonies, where they would take an apple tree branch with silver bells or a little bit of blossom or the apples on the end, and they would shake it and be granted access to the other world realms through this. So working with the apple orchards to create the wands is one of the most magical materials, one of the most magical pieces of wood we can use.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so we're going to have pretty much like a whole day together, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
moving through the magical landscape. And so let's back up a little bit and talk about wands. Why wands? Of course, there's the sense of magic for them, and yet there's a whole, I don't know. Tell us more about wands. Why wands?
Why wands? This is a really interesting question because we have things like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings that have made wands quite popular. But when you kind of look at how they're used, it's not actually how anyone would have used wands back
Right,
in the day, which is,
exactly, yeah.
when you're working with magic, it's important not to set spells on people actually, and to give like beautiful autonomy to the human race
Yeah,
and
yeah,
respect to the
exactly.
spirits. So for me, the wand is actually about marking sacred space for yourself. It's about an initiation in a way. It's a sort of a magical object which forms a covenant between you and the land, or you and a chapter of your life, which says, I am ready for magic. I am ready to step onto my path as a healer, as a witch, as a goddess, as a, whatever, enchantress. And it can just really mark that. But then, of course, wands are also used for protection. So if you're working with magic and you want to cast a sacred circle, you can do that with a wand as well. Yeah, just to create protection for any magical work that you're doing.
Right. And it's a focus, right? It's a piece of energy that you manifest, a piece of artwork that
Yeah.
has intention. And as you put it together, like you were saying, every person at the retreat will be together doing this. We'll be going to the apple orchard to choose it. We'll be doing all these different places and bringing in the energies, doing different ceremonies, choosing our own things to put onto the wands. And yet
Yeah.
there is that individual sort of focus or intention that the energy in there is holding something magical, both from this land and the experience, but unique for you.
Yeah, absolutely that. So it's really, it becomes a, sort of an extension of your own identity, the wands. So when we're making them, they're going to be really imbued just with not only with the energy of the apple orchards and Avalon and that whole experience that people are going to be on at your retreat, but they'll put their own personal edge onto it. And that can be a beautiful focus point for magic.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could be healing, right, of the body or of the emotions, or starting a chapter in your life, right? Or
Yeah.
stepping out of a relationship or a job or motherhood, suddenly being free, or, some life-changing aspect. And it can be a support, right, that you bring with you, you get to bring
Yeah.
home with you and use for different intentions, and it will carry this energy with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be gorgeous for people to take these objects home as well, just as reminders of that time together.
Yeah. So when we finish them, I know you have like a beautiful box that we put them in and a
Yeah.
scroll that we
Yeah.
make.
All the little extra touches. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always go the extra mile with little decor. So there's always little bits of moss and a golden feather and some nice little bits and pieces. And the scroll has the intention on it. So that is where you write the covenant with the kind of the ones, the intention behind it, and what you're hoping to bring to the world from that point on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's talk about our day. So we're going to start at the apple orchards. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So we'll be starting connecting with the trees, connecting with the land. There are a lot of trees that are really beautiful and abundant, and there's some really old ones in there as well. So we spend a bit of time giving offerings to the trees, and giving our prayers to the land. We connect in meditation and we call in our spirit guides and animals, as well as the energy of the tree. So there's a lot of bonding with the tree on an energetic level before taking one of its branches. And of course, asking the permission of the tree, because they're beautiful beings in their own right. We can't just go up and take a branch. We have
Right.
to spend some time forming a connection with the tree. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And are we going to be making like altars or earth mandalas, or I'm not sure what you call them?
Yeah, so everyone's going to hopefully bring a little bit of something that they want to offer to the space. So maybe like some flowers or conkers or feathers, something, whatever they feel. And we create a little nature mandala around the tree. And that's like our altar. It's our devotion to the land. And it's our way of saying, we're grateful for you. We're grateful for all the energies and the abundance that you bring.
Beautiful.
And there's also an opportunity for people to shed something as well. So I always bring like a black candle and a white candle. And the
Mm,
black is anything that's too heavy, something we want to let go of before we step onto the chapter, to
yeah.
make room for this new energy of the tree coming into your life. So in order
Mm,
to let something in, you have to let something go. So we have a little bit of a release and fire ritual around the altar as well.
perfect. Beautiful. Oh, wow, you're talking my
Magic.
language here. I love it. Oh, okay. And then once we do that and we have our beautiful donation from the beautiful tree spirits and the apple tree, what do we? Hi, hello, pumpkin.
Sorry.
Because I need to give some little energy and magic too here. Okay, thank
He's never
you.
too far away.
Oh, so what do we do next?
So after that, we head up to the tour. So we do a little silent pilgrimage, which would have been like a quite an ancient way of doing it, going inward and reflecting on our lives and our goals, anything that we want to achieve and really calling it in. So when we get to the top of the tour, we're in very magical territory. It's where the ley lines cross. There's a lot of work with Saint Michael up there as well. So calling in the energy of the Dragon Slayer, and asking for him to kind of, help us to step bravely into our purpose, to really look at our achievements and what we want to bring into the world. And as many people will tell you, when you mark that occasion on the tour, often it comes true, because it's such a manifesting portal up there.
Yeah, that's over here. There. Blink. Sort of
Yeah,
looks like that too. So yeah. And yeah, it's quite incredible. I've been studying, I'm becoming a master dowser and been studying the energies there. And you have the ley lines, right? The dragon lines, but you have the Michael and Mary currents,
yeah.
that wind all the way up the tour and sort of end right up there at the peak. And just,
Yes.
I think there's like a druidic labyrinth, I think they call, right? Sort of as part of the energy going up. So there's a lot of things. And then inside of the hill are the springs, right?
Yes, the White Spring. Yeah, so the White Spring is really, really old, potentially as far as Neolithic. Like they don't know how old the spring itself is. The well house that's been built around it and is used as a beautiful altar of shrines there. That sort of was built in the Victorian era, and then was created as a temple in the last sort of 10-20 years.
Yeah.
So although it's actually very modern, it's got a very, very old ancient feel. And it's likely that there would have been sort of a druidic temple up on the tour. They found lots of pottery, dated sacred pottery, that would have been dated to around that time. So we know it would have been a big sacred site before the church was built up there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, everybody came along with their particular culture and built on top of the previous person's temple,
Yeah.
pyramid, sacred space, whatever it is. So if
Yeah.
there's a church there, there was something else there
Exactly.
before. And they just all know it. They just, they knew. I mean, there was the conquering thing, but really underneath it, it's like, oh, that's where the sacred energy is.
Yeah,
The people who came
exactly.
before already knew that's where the energy is. So
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. So it's a beautiful space, and incredibly potent as an energy as well. So it's a great place to go and charge the wands. We have a little moment within the tour where we take the wood that we're going to be, the branch that we'll be using, and we place it on the floor of the tour, and we just charge it, and then feel the energies of the ley lines mix in with it.
yeah.
So you're building that connection with the land there as well.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see how this is different than an art project, right? Or even
Yes.
a spiritual experience, right? Where we go meditate or we have it. This is like really interacting with the energies, the land, the
Yeah.
manifestation, different forms, the ancient energies, the current energies, and bringing so much intention, opening those doors inside of you. And at this point, this is, I think, our fourth day on the retreat. So we've already done all
Oh,
these
wow.
other amazing, experiences. So we'll be just like barely in our bodies floating around there. Just
These guys will be buzzing by
yeah,
then. Yeah, you'll be
absolutely.
hyped.
Yeah. So, all right. And then we're going to one of the springs?
So then we go over to Chalicewell, which is the red spring opposite. So the white spring is considered the masculine, and the red spring is the feminine. We collect the spring water from each, which will be used later on to sort of bring our wands in with ceremony. We drink both of the spring waters together. And the idea behind that is you balance the masculine and feminine within yourself. So it's a beautiful ritual in of itself. But Chalicewell has its own myth, its own sacred kind of story, which is more connected to Jesus, of course, and the chalice, which was brought back from, Joseph of Arimathea collected Jesus's blood from the cross. And the myth goes that he brought this cup back to Glastonbury, to Avalon, and thrust it under Chalice Hill, and the red spring burst forth from there. So there's this beautiful garden, Chalicewell, where you can walk around and connect with the wellhead and connect with these beautiful big yew trees in there. And again, to charge the wand, so it gets a little bit of the white spring and a little bit of the red spring energy.
Perfect. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, yeah, we're going to be going many times, and we have private access to the Chalice Well and to the
Yes.
White Springs, as well as the other
Oh,
times that we're going to be going there.
fantastic.
So I'm very excited. When I first arrived before the retreat, we're going to stay on the at the retreat house on the in the Chalice Well Gardens,
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
for 2 nights, just Chris and I. And I'm excited because I like access to these sacred places when no one else is there. And
Yeah.
when you stay at the retreat house, you could walk outside 24/7. So I could go out at night and just be anywhere I want in the gardens. And so I'm
Yeah.
super excited. Ah,
Oh, amazing.
all the
So
magic.
exciting.
So, all right, good. And so then what's the next step in creating these beautiful,
So,
intentional pieces?
depending on the weather, we'll stop at Rainbow Cafe. I think we said, didn't we? We're going to go to Rainbow Cafe and have
I
some
think so,
lunch.
yeah.
And that's a beautiful place to go. It's just absolutely stunning in there. And then we'll head back to the Goddess House, which is a beautiful, just a wonderful house actually, full of these beautiful goddessy rooms. And we'll craft our wands there. So at this point, we start to think about how we're going to connect with these wands, how we're going to make them personal to ourselves, reflecting on, who we're becoming at this point in our life, in our this chapter of our life. So you're going to choose your own crystals, your own decorations, your own little like totems, and to craft it with clay around the wand. So you'll make it completely your own and personalized at this point.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. So actually, I have a picture. Let me see if I can share a picture of some of the wands that you've had. Hello, where are we? No, okay, it's here somewhere.
Pending.
Just a minute, excuse me. Let me get that up. No, there it is. There we go. So let's go down. This is the page where you can see all of our magical things we're going to do.
Great.
And we'll get down here. That was a friend of mine there. I took one of those pictures a few months ago when you guys had all those amazing colors.
Oh my gosh.
And
I saw that on my birthday. It was literally my birthday evening when we had the Aurora come to us. What a
wow,
gift that was.
wow, that's amazing. So here we go. So hopefully you
Yes.
guys can see this. So this is a sample of some of the wands that Kubi has made or people have made, and you can see the feather, the scroll there and everything. So yeah, and the little scroll work is like a kind of clay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to be using an air drying clay and some crystals, some gemstones. So I'm going to bring a whole load of lovely little bits and quartz heads that we can use. And then it's just about choosing the right things that feel like they resonate with you and your personality. And I'll show you how to craft it. So I'll kind of pass over the little skills that I have about how to make your wand look really beautiful and unique to you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So it's very interesting too, because after I met you and we first talked, I have a wand that's made out of a branch that a friend of mine made, and she's just passed on, actually. I just realized that a few weeks ago.
Oh, oh, bless.
And she made it to, it was not quite as fancy as that, but it's a branch and big crystal on
Yeah.
the end and the other end and all this other wonderful stuff. And I always would see it in her house. So my clients call me their fairy
Oh.
goddess mother. I called her my fairy goddess mother. Honestly, going to her house was like going back in time to some little magic witch cabin. She'd always
Oh.
be like, "Oh, you need some of these herbs," and "Oh, I made this thing," and all it was just so incredible. And this beautiful wand was sitting there, and I was just like, "That's amazing." And she said, "Oh, well, she made it to be in a play where she had to stand there and hold a wand or something." But I just always over and over just fell in love with it. And one day she called me and she said, "I have to get rid of everything and move. And I know this wand is yours." And
Yeah.
so, and I have crystal wands, I have the other kinds of wands, but this is the one that reminds me the most of what we're going to make, with that intention.
Right.
And it started
Yeah.
unraveling and I was trying to hold it together. And then a few months ago, it just completely fell apart. And I thought, well, maybe, I'll bring some of those pieces. to
Yes,
to put inside of there. So
gonna have a second life.
a second life,
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, that's a good point, because if anybody does want to bring something that's personal to them, as long as it's quite small, so I would say no more than a kind of thumbnail size in width,
Okay.
um, then bring it along and I can try and help you fit it into your wand design as best we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, good. And is there anything else? Anything else people should bring other than crystals of like I'm not sure what to
Um,
think right now. I gather things everywhere I go, seeds and
Yes, I think just something for the nature mandala. So maybe even just like a little bunch of flowers or some conkers, because they'll be around at the time, or feathers, something that you want to leave as an offering to the land
Mm,
when we meet your tree and when we choose the tree to work with.
okay, beautiful. I love it. And so then we make the wands, and then while they're drying, what do we do?
So at that point, we'll do a little meditation, and we're going to do a little bit of healing. So we'll focus on our chakras and we'll do a little guided meditation to kind of bring some real kind of self-love and some self-healing, kind of to create a blank canvas in your life so that you are clear, ready to receive your wand when it's finished drying. And when it's finished and when it's fully done, we'll move into a little wand ceremony. So that'll be when you write your scroll, you write your covenant saying, you know, I promise to do this magic with the land, or I promise to bring this to my life, or with this wand, I hereby set this intention in my life. And it can be just a real marker of like a crossroad in the person's life, to kind of like a moment where you really get real with yourself and you go, okay, I'm gonna change something, or I'm gonna hop timelines now, and I'm gonna, step into this new path. So we'll do that. We'll tie it with the little ribbon and the feather, and we'll bless the wands with by drinking the mixture of the red and white spring water to really invoke it and call the goddess in of the land.
Yeah, beautiful. So it's so amazing because, of course, we'll be there. So you'll be walking on the land, or you'll be sitting on the land, or you're touching the stone, or you're touching the ground, or you're touching the tree. And then we're
Yeah.
intentionally, right, connecting with spirit and connecting with all of the different levels of who we are. And I'm always so aware. I love going to sacred places, and it's my favorite thing in the whole world. And
Yeah.
but I'm always really aware that that time and space are fluid, and that there's other me. There's
Yeah.
other me's there, that I was there in another time and another place, maybe many times,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's sort of a reunion of
Oh,
connecting, right, back to not just reclaiming perhaps magic or innocence or
absolutely.
love for self, or things that the trauma of life has happened to everybody, and we're all waking up to, hey, there's more to life than paying your bills and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but then that whole other level of we're here where all these realms intersect, and we go
Mm.
into the other world, and we're doing this with such beauty and intention, and co-creating with these energies, that really profound healings can happen, and parts of yourself you can find, re-access or remember, maybe magic, maybe a wisdom that you have, maybe, mystery
Mm.
schools or other things that you had before, and also free some of those lives, free some of those parts of yourself that may have been stuck inside of pain or heartbreak or loss, and feeling like you've been separated from yourself. So it's, to me, it's a very deep healing of multi-dimensional parts of us.
Completely. Yeah. And it's almost, oh, my phone's just given a 10% battery warning. um yeah, it really can be an opportunity for our ancestors to speak through as well. So perhaps they're, way back in the lineage, you had magical medicine women that were working on the
Yes.
lands, and you're the first person that steps back into that magic again. So it
Yeah.
can be a real moment with them where you can feel the presence of the ancestors kind of cheering you on, like, yes, we have someone making a wand finally after 300 years of, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, sort of really stepping in back into the magic of yeah, of what it means to be a human, actually.
Yeah, and to bring the magic into our world, which we need so, so much, right? To bring
Yeah.
magic back into our daily lives
Yeah.
and to infuse ourselves and then where we walk, where we talk, what we touch, what we do, we get to bring this back home with us.
Yes, exactly. Exactly
Yeah.
that.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Well, is there anything else you feel called to share to inspire everyone or to share what we're going to do? Look at this gorgeous creature. Oh my gosh, I
I
love him.
know, he's
Our
ridiculous, isn't he?
baby.
He's so gorgeous. It's my real life fox that I get to carry
Oh,
around. I can't think of anything. I think we've pretty much covered it all, you know.
yeah.
I mean, so much more will be revealed on the day because a lot of it's about actually just experiencing the energies of Avalon. And it's so hard to put it into words, quite what that is. It's such a magical place.
Yeah, definitely. And the group, right? Don't you find that each person, so if you decide to come and join us, your energy is going to reach in and start to co-create. What I find is every time I do a retreat, I create the container, I like, oh, here's Kubi and here's Maria. No, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. But then as people feel called and join, their energy, their purpose, their pathway comes in and starts to co-create and
Mm,
certain little magical doors open along the way that maybe wouldn't have if you weren't there with us. So, you know,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's sort of dream weaving with people, isn't it? The
Yes,
magic of dream weaving.
exactly. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to share yourself. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for listening to your
Oh.
calling. Yes, thank you for, bringing these experiences to people and bringing alive this ancient but powerful, so loving. I remember years and years ago, I got on my spiritual path. I was learning meditation and animal communication and, healing and all these different things. And I kept
Yeah.
being called to the goddess and I felt fear. I felt so much
Mm,
fear in my belly every time. And it was pre-internet and there was barely any books out there, but every time I would come across a book, I would be like, oh, and then I would get this fear in my belly and I would kind of go away from it. And it was
yeah.
finally after my daughter died that I just went and I found this
Mm,
beautiful group of women and I was held in such love. I reconnected to such an incredibly deep part. It reminded me very much of the shamanic work I had done with the Native Americans because there's so much respect of the earth, right? And
mm,
co-creating with the elements and respecting the unseen world that everything is alive.
yeah.
And then I spent, over 23 years in the goddess world, actively raising my children and doing ritual planning and just really learning. And so it's such a part of me that even if you don't feel called to that as a specific path, the beauty I think that you hold that you're bringing back to the world, that think experiences like this bring into people's lives, bring alive that respect, that reverence, and that serenity and harmony that we
Oh, yeah,
are missing in the world. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's the time, isn't it, to bring it back.
yes, oh,
Oh,
wonderful. Well, thank you again so much. And again, if anybody is interested, it's nanakasha.com/Avalon. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime you want. You can reach out to Kubi if you'd like to know what we're doing. And where do people find you?
so my website is www.qbmay.com. I've got all of my offerings and workshops and therapies on there. I do a little online OM group that anyone can join from around the world, which explores tree wisdom. So that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment. I'm in quite a summer apart from what's coming up with us, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do all my stuff there, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. Just QB May with a K.
With a K. Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
it's Kubimay.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much, beautiful. I'm
Thank
super
you.
excited to play with you, and I'm super excited that we got a chance to share this with everybody. So, have a beautiful and
Absolutely.
blessed day, everybody. Thank you,
Thank
beautiful
you.
little Foxy, our little animal familiar there, bringing to look at that. I'm bringing the fabulousness of a fluffy. Oh my gosh. So have a beautiful and blessed day, everybody. Thank
Thank you.
you.